Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Thursday, August 13th. I am Khalil Keita with the details. An estimated 16 million EC dollars has been reportedly lost in agricultural production due to the recent drought conditions which have affected farmers island-wide. This was revealed by Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar during a ministerial statement in Parliament today. Minister Caesar said a drought assessment was carried out and it was found that the drought impacted all types of agricultural production, with vegetables being at the top, recording $6.1 million in losses. The worst affected region, he said, was from Peruvian Vale to Fancy.
Bananas, $762,000. Plantains, $4.3 million. Vegetables, $6.1 million. Root crops, $4.4 million. Herbs, $243,000. Other commodities, $526,000. Mr. Speaker, losses by agricultural regions: Region 1, $3 million, and that is from Richmond to Lomans Leeward. Region 2, $3.4 million, and that is from Lomans Leeward to Peruvian Vale, including Mesopotamia Valley and the Grenadines. Those areas are accounted for as well in Region 2. And Region 3, Mr. Speaker, $9.9 million, and that is from Peruvian Vale to Fancy.
Minister Caesar stated that COVID-19 has further compounded the negative impact on the farmers' production and export of produce.
COVID-19 has caused uncertainty in farm workers' timetables and interrupted trade. Further, farmers and traders have witnessed increased restrictions at regional and international borders and delays in the supply of inputs as a result of impacted shipping lines.
The Ministry of Agriculture has since initiated a COVID-19 2020 drought recovery support for farmers. Registration is ongoing and closes this month end. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on radio yesterday revealed that Sandals International, which will be taking over the defunct Bucament Bay Resort, has already paid the government 10.5% of the total cost of the resort and additional lands in the area, amounting to $17.5 million or 47 million EC dollars. PM Gonsalves said that the acquisition of lands from farmers has been settled at $12 EC dollars per square foot, and a further 12 acres of land is set to be acquired, 6 acres from the Catholic Church and Bernard Ponette each. The Prime Minister said that he will be asking Parliament for 36 million EC dollars, which will cover the cost of the 40 acres of land needed by Sandals International and for the additional lands to be purchased.
We've negotiated with Bernard Ponette. There was piece of the land, piece of the property with Harlequin was on Bernard land, and they were working out the arrangements. But we need the footprint needs a little, the footprint for the 40 acres needs a little bit more there. So we're buying about 6 acres. Well, we have agreed to about 6 acres from Bernard Ponette. And then the four farmers, known popularly as the Rastafarian farmers.
Expressing satisfaction with the progress made with the Sandals International deal, PM Gonsalves said that he was particularly pleased with the settlement arrived at with 3 farmers who have asked for money and lands to continue farming elsewhere. He said that of the 6 acres acquired from the Catholic Church, 2 acres will go to the farmers and houses built for them. However, he said one farmer has rejected the $12 offer, but it still remains on the table.
One of them, as you know, in the public media say that he wants more money. Well, he has 1.45 acres of land, I understand. He's getting $12 a square foot like everybody else. And one farmer wants, of the other 3 farmers, one wants cash alone, and his is $12 a square foot. So here's 80-something thousand square feet of land. And other 2 who work close together, they have between them 2.7 acres.
PM Gonzalez said that government is paying slightly less for the resort, exclusive of the additional lands, than the liquidators were selling to the previous investors for.
The old resort was a footprint of over 27 acres. Sandals say we need a footprint of 40 acres because they're doing a big water theme park for the beaches, for that particular brand, the family brand. You pay a price for that, somewhat less than what they were selling to the Kelly Glass group for, because when that deal broke down, with the only showing down.
CEO of the SVG Tourism Authority, Glenn Beach, says that this year there will be a significant fall in the figures of cruise ships coming to SVG for the cruise season, which begins on November 1st. Speaking on the Facebook program The Real Talk last evening, the tourism CEO, that should be the Tourism Authority CEO, said the U.S. Center for Disease Control, the CDC, is only allowing some cruise lines to do 5 to 7 day cruises, which will prevent some of the ships from reaching SVG. Beach said some cruise lines have been in contact with the authority, which is working on new initiatives and a new package for the 2021 cruise season.
Our hope, we've had talks with the cruise lines. We already have bookings for this upcoming cruise ship season. But a lot will also depend, as I said, on what others do. For example, the CDC out of the United States. The cruise lines are now only allowed to do 5 to 7 day cruises. Now, what that means for us is that their home port starts in Miami or Puerto Rico. If you're only allowed to do a 5 or 7 day cruise, it means you're not reaching this far south, right? You're going to keep up north. Probably the furthest you're going to go is probably Antigua and Barbuda. So what it means is that Barbados as a home port for the cruise lines becomes even more important for us. So I think we already have some bookings from P&O Cruises. I was on a meeting with a cruise line yesterday. They put certain things in place. I can't say what exactly, just to know, but they're starting something new. They've come up with a new package where they're going to home port out of Barbados and look to start something new in 2021. So while we want to make certain moves, and we can, a lot will depend on what other countries do and what they put in place.
Beach said some cruise ships will be coming to SVG in late October and early November, and a lot of preparations are being made to ensure the safety of all, including locals.
Probably see them in late October, probably November. But as I said, a lot will depend.
This is 2020 you're referring to?
2020, yeah. We'll see them. We're not going to see as many as we've seen before. I'm going to be honest. But I think, speaking to the cruise lines, the FCCA, which is the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, they're willing to get ready. We want to make sure they come back, but we also have to make sure the passengers are safe. But more importantly, we have to make sure Vincentians are kept safe. So our protocols are important. We've sent them what our protocols are going to be for cruise lines coming back in. CDC has put certain regulations on the cruise lines. So it's not that simple that they can do anything they want to do. But the protocols have to be there, and we have to find that balance to make sure it's safe for everybody.
The Tourism Authority CEO highlighted some of the protocols that will be in place for cruise ship passengers and crew, who are also expected to follow protocols from the U.S. Center for Disease Control.
I mean, if they're not disembarking, it makes no sense for them to come, right? But it's a matter of the tests, what the cruise lines have to do before the passengers come off. It's a matter of how they clean their cabins now. As you know, cruise lines have always had a lot of buffet on the cruise lines. I think that will be rid of. So all of these things we're discussing with them right now to see what is the best way. But while we can put our protocols in place, the cruise lines have to wait and see what the CDC puts in place.
The reopening of schools across SVG is still scheduled for August 31st, which would be done under strict COVID-19 guidelines, which includes daily temperature checks, and that should be checks for all students and teachers. This was noted by Minister of Education Sinclair Prince in Parliament today after he was asked by the opposition spokesperson on education, Terence Oliver, to provide information on what conditions teachers and students are expected to return to the classroom to for the coming school year.
Teachers will be provided with support and the resources necessary to ensure that they can provide the much needed remedial teaching, especially for those students who are not engaged in the online teaching during closure. Counselors at the various schools will be available to provide psychosocial support to both teachers and students returning to schools. An absolutely important element in this, Mr. Speaker. Principals will work with their schools' counselors to ensure that the teachers who need ongoing psychosocial support are provided with the necessary help. Teachers will continue to be sensitized on the various protocols to be followed to maintain a safe and healthy school environment. These sessions will include training on how to conduct temperature checks using the non-touch thermometer, the recording of these readings, and the response to any elevated temperatures. The training will be conducted in conjunction with the Ministry of Health. As I speak, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health is organizing training with clusters of schools throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister Prince said that his ministry will be providing all necessary gears to schools and pointed out that the wearing of masks in public transportation is strongly recommended.
Hand hygiene is to be observed, and hand washing stations and hand sanitizers are to be placed in appropriate areas. Daily temperature checks are to be done by teachers at the start of each school day and the data recorded. The use of masks and face shields is strongly recommended for all persons on public transportation. Strongly recommended. Cleaning supplies and other resources, including PPE for the upcoming school term. All schools will be provided with the necessary cleaning supplies, hand sanitizing liquids, soaps, and other resources to maintain health and safety at their schools.
The Education Minister said more cleaners will be hired and will receive proper guidance on what is expected of them, as they will be leaving nothing to chance that may compromise the reopening of schools.
Prescriptions for cleaners were prepared to gain compliance with the required cleaning standards consistent with the management of COVID-19. Scheduled training with cleaning staff on the proper use of cleaning supplies was also provided. Caretakers and janitors, Mr. Speaker, were stationed at schools to ensure that the facilities were cleaned and properly sanitized regularly. A clean environment is considered as one of the means of controlling the spread of COVID-19. Hence, the Ministry of Education will continue to employ preventative strategies to aid in the management of COVID-19 during the upcoming school year.
With a change in government in Guyana, this country's honorary counsel to that country's honorary counsel to SVG, Nigel Russell, said that minor changes have taken place which Guyanese living in SVG should take note of, especially in regards to travel protocols. Commercial flights into Guyana are expected to recommence on August 28th, and according to Russell, 4 repatriation flights from the OECS, including 2 from SVG, have already been conducted.
Government has instituted very rigid regulations right now there, and that is based upon their experiences in the last 5 to 6 weeks, we're told, where people are not complying with safety regulations and the health regulations. And so it has forced the government, so to speak, to impose very strict measures. Now, I think it's the very first country that has given a direct indication of the kind of standard masks to be worn. The N95 mask you're aware of, that's one of them that they're suggesting that we should use, N95, KN5, FFP2. Now, these are top-of-the-line masks. And Guyana is saying that we prefer people if they can use these standard masks. People have been entering the country with soiled and wet masks and were refusing to change them on the aircraft. These are now offenses.
Russell said that there are still some Guyanese stranded in SVG who could not afford the repatriation flights, but plans are being made for them to return home as soon as possible.
Approval has been given for the resumption of commercial flights. We are still doing charters, and charters will have to go on until you resume normal commercial flying. While the charters are very expensive, as you'd understand, those costs are split among the passengers. So while you have people still waiting to travel because they didn't have funds to travel, we've done 4 of those flights already around the region. And we have 3 Guyanese who are still waiting to go back home. They may probably go in CL. And we have quite a few of them that left out of St. Lucia.
Meanwhile, the Guyanese Honorary Council is encouraging Guyanese living in SVG to respect the outcome of the March 2nd elections and to embrace the new government.
To give their respect to the new president. And I just want to be very brief about this. This respect should not be a cultural item. People have come to understand that we cannot determine the course of elections even in our own countries. And we are giving full support to the new president and the new administration in our dear land of Guyana. And I'm continuing to urge all the nationals here to give that support to our country, our dear land of Guyana.
3 men are facing multiple charges stemming from an incident that occurred in Peruvian Vale last weekend. A police report says, acting on information and investigations, Jamark Jackson, a 27-year-old laborer of Camden Park, Quincy Boyd, a 26-year-old laborer of Rillen Hill, and Romando Andrews, a 29-year-old laborer of Clear Valley and Diamond, were arrested and charged with the offenses of damage to property, attempted burglary, and handling stolen goods. The police say the accused men allegedly, without lawful excuse, damaged 2 deadbolt padlocks and 1 commercial aluminum door by striking same with an unknown object, the property of Harmony Investment. Police say further investigations led to the suspects being charged with the offenses of attempted burglary and burglary. Investigations revealed that the accused men allegedly intended to commit the offense of burglary on the Triple S supermarket, and that they allegedly entered the to-go restaurant as trespassers and stole a quantity of items valued at $7,070, the property of a resident of Arnes Vale, stolen at Peruvian Vale between Saturday, August 8th and Sunday, August 9th. In addition, Jackson was also charged for having in his possession 1 hoe reasonably suspected of being stolen or unlawfully obtained at Peruvian Vale on Sunday, August 9th. The accused men appeared before the serious offences court to answer to the charges and pled not guilty. Bail was denied and the matters were adjourned to August 17th for bail review. The police say, acting in response to the report of the burglary, a 21-year-old male suspect, Keithan James of Camden Park, opened fire at the police. In defense, the police returned fire, and as a result, James suffered a gunshot wound and was taken to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A coroner's inquest is expected to be conducted to ascertain the circumstances under which he died. Meanwhile, 2 of the men in the Peruvian Vale robbery attempt are expected to appear before the serious offences court to answer to charges in relation to the theft of over $21,000 in cash from the Allen Smith and Family Bakery at Camden Park between July 11th and 12th. Quincy Boyd and Romando Andrews were arrested and charged with burglary and damage to property. The police say, according to investigations carried out, Boyd and Andrews allegedly entered the bakery and stole $21,810 in cash. In the process, the accused men allegedly damaged 1 safety vault valued at $2,000. And police are investigating the circumstances under which a young man of Richland Park fell to his death today. According to reports, the young man was climbing a breadfruit tree in the area at around 10 a.m. when he fell. He reportedly died on the spot. We'll be bringing more to you on this story as further information comes to hand. Yesterday, members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, family and friends in tears bid farewell to the late police constable 918 Sean Alfonso Westfield. Westfield, who passed away on Sunday, August 2nd, was accorded a full military funeral. The service took place at the Cattell Seventh-day Adventist Church and the interment at the Chauncey Cemetery. Speaking at the funeral service, Commissioner of Police Colin John noted that the RSVG police force lost 4 members this year who were hardworking, loyal, and disciplined. Commissioner John said PC Westfield was a very content police officer, noting that even on his sickbed at the hospital, he never complained.
He was very loyal to the organization. He was very much a team player. From the top, he was very disciplined. He was also very contented. Several times during his ailment, the Deputy Commissioner and I and contingent would go to the hospital, and he never complained about anything. He never moaned. He was satisfied with the condition that he was in. He was not one to give up. When he spoke to me, he said, "So I'm feeling pain in this leg or in that leg," and he asked his sister to rub it. But he never complained, or he never once said, "Well, okay, why is me in this predicament?" He was very contented in whatever condition he was in.
Commissioner John thanked Westfield's family members and friends for helping the police force take care of him while he was sick, and also thanked them for his 7 years of service.
His immediate family for the influence that they had on him, for the discipline that they inculcated in him, that redound to the benefit of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force and St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a whole. It is very sad that he left us at this tender age of 39, so life begins at 40, so he hasn't even started living as yet, but he died. But his life has impacted St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I just want to thank God for giving us him. I just want to thank his family once again for lending him to us. So on behalf of the members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the Prime Minister and the Permanent Secretary Minister of National Security, I just want to express my condolences on behalf to the immediate and police family, and may his soul rest in perpetual peace.
Other tributes at the funeral service came from the Police Welfare Association, friends and family members who shared their experiences of being around Constable Westfield. The pastor said that Westfield, on his sickbed, accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior, and that he is now in a better place.
For others. Look, it pains my heart today to see when good police officers, such as him, leave this show.
Exemplify what I would say, the hallmark of a true police officer. He was indeed, as Superintendent Hazel said, a disciplined person. Well disciplined, well behaved.
Westfield to me was my soulmate, my friend, my father. He was one of those friends. He wasn't always around, but when he popped into my life, he would just make a big difference.
To us, myself and the Simmons, we went, and some other members of the church, he indicated that he wanted to give his life over to Christ again. As I shared with the family, Chevron, you were there as well. Brother Sean, we did for him what we call the profession of faith, where he was asked some vows, and he answered in the affirmative.
He was strong, he was a brave woman, and he was good to me. When he got by me, sit down and speak to me, and he asked me when did he leave the car,